I've been wanting to just call him out as like a joke thing, for since my first Bellator fight, and they never gave me a mic. Even after like winning and getting a submission and all that, never got a mic. This is the first time, and I almost forgot. That's why I had to ask Big John to come back. It almost passed me by, but I was pretty amped up, and I'm surprised I remembered.
Well, I'm glad she did, and understandably so if it had kind of just, got past you right there in the moment. But describe what was going through your mind immediately when Beltran pulls you off. Because obviously, anybody who watches watches the feed of right then and there, you could see the excitement and the expression on your face. But what was going through your head right then and there at that moment?
Well, I told you so is the thing that just kept going through my head. And as soon as I got up, you could see me run around the cage. I'm looking for Josh Thompson and the other announcer to tell him I fucking told you so. And that's what I was yelling the whole time because I gave an interview, like a TV, like the commentator interview, and all they did was talk about how I wrestled. I've never wrestled. I'm not a wrestler. I'm a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, not a wrestler. And they were talking about how I needed to use wrestling and I need to do this and how good his striking is, how great he is, and all this stuff. And I said, man, I don't give a fuck about any of that crap. I have a game plan. I know you guys brought me out to lose, and I'm not. And then they asked me how I thought it was going to end, and I said it'll be like 2 or 3 transitions, and I'm gonna catch him in something, whether it be a submission, a strike, I don't know, but it's first or second round. And they all kind of laughed and joked a little bit, and I was like, oh, okay, motherfuckers, you're gonna see. And then that's pretty much why I was so amped up. I wanted to tell them I fucking told you so. Big John was the only one that was really respectful in the interview. I mean, they were all respectful, but you could just see like, oh yeah, right, kid. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm. I know exactly what
I
you're
didn't,
saying.
I didn't come there to lose. You know?
Daniel, I want to rewind it back for a second to something that you mentioned earlier. You mentioned, the thought of you were being brought in there as almost kind of, the animal for slaughter, or you were the sacrificial lamb. What did that feel like? What was what was your emotion? What was the mentals? Like how did that feel?
Well, so it all started like I had got hurt. I had hurt my elbow, and I dropped like I had an opponent drop. He was just being a little he just didn't want to fight. I had an opponent drop out of Brian's show, and we tried finding opponents, and I ended up hurting my elbow. So Brian said, "All right, you're not fighting on this card." So I was rehabbing. I was taking time off, and then next thing I know, Cortez hits me up and tells me, "Hey, Bellator just messaged me, and they want to see if you want to fight, September 7th." And I forget, it was like 5, 6 weeks away, plenty of time. I was already in shape. And I go, sure, who's the opponent? And he said, Gaston Bolanos. I just murdered his last name. And I knew who he was right away. And I was like, oh, man, I'm hurt. Let me get back to you. And then when I got back to the gym, I told Brian about him. Brian pulled up his spinning back elbow fight. It was like, oh, dude, you finished this guy first round. And then we watched another fight of his, and Brian started getting really excited and was like, dude, you're gonna murder this cat. He can't mess with you. And seeing how excited he was for it, I was like, oh man, we got to take it. Now he's the only person that was, because everyone else that found out who I was fighting gave me that same look, like that. Oh, him. Oh, okay. Oh man. All right. We would go to other gyms and you tell them, and then you get that look because they know I'm not a wrestler, so I'd have to stand with them for a while. And
Mm-hmm.
everybody just kept giving me a look, like just writing me off. And I was thinking, oh, okay, motherfuckers, you're gonna see. And then when we get to San Jose, I was getting it bad. Every person in Bellator was looking at me like I was going out there to get killed. And then the commentators, they kind of added to it, talking to them, and then I tried to stay stoic, and it just fueled the fire, man. I've never trained so hard, and I just can't. I'm ready to go again. I was trying to fight this Friday on the same card as him, but he wouldn't let me. So,
Well, sometimes you got to have a little bit of time there.
right.
Now, how how hard is it in that sort of situation for you to maintain your composure? Because I mean, it's got to be frustrating. Like it's got to be something that just pisses you the fuck off. That you're like, hey, bitch, I'm qualified too.
Yeah,
Like, you know what I mean?
yeah. No, I understand completely, and I always do better when I have a lot of pressure on me like that, or my opponent's talking. I always do far better. Um, After the fight, as you can see, like with this one, I just let it all out. But I just go super into myself. I don't say anything. I get really stoic. You can see me at weigh-ins. I look like I just smoked a bunch, right? Like I look blazed like a motherfucker, and I'm not. Um, Dude, I just had no emotion at all. Even I wasn't nervous. I don't know how to describe it. I've never felt that way before a fight. Even in the pit, right before we walk out, Gaston standing right next to me, behind me. He shook my hand, and I like him. There's no ill will. But he shook my hand. He was like, "Man, I'm excited. Thanks for taking the fight." And I said, "No, thanks for the opportunity." And we were about to walk out in this arena and fight, and I had no emotion. I was just happy to be there, but there was nothing. I was completely stuck. And as soon as the ref pulled me off, it all came out, man. The weeks of dealing with that, the commentators, all my nerves came out. I just lost it. It was crazy. In a happy way. I was extremely happy.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. That's like a complete validation of all the moves that you've made over the course of the last few months. I mean, uprooting, moving the family across state lines, all that sort of thing. That just has to be something that gives you the feeling of, oh man, like the weight is off my shoulders. And then too, as you had mentioned, your fight before that was a loss, so it puts you back in the winning column and against a credible opponent. Someone that everybody is going to look at. We'll go to look at your Tapology and we'll see, oh shit, Gaston Bolanos. Okay, okay. As things build along and continue to grow for you. So yeah, that just has to be. I can only imagine what it feels like in that sense. And then just to see like all the mentions on Twitter, and everybody that night was just like, oh my god, Daniel Carey just called out Chael Sonnen, and like all those sorts of things. So I'm nothing but happy for you, man. Like I was so pumped up when I was watching there. I was sitting there watching it on my headphones in my living room with my roommates, and everybody else was kind of watching what was on TV and everything. Like I'm just kind of hanging out to be social, not just sitting in my room by myself. But I'm watching your fight on my phone. I just hop up out of my chair. I'm like, fuck yeah! And like this guy's probably crazy. Like I literally, mind you, this was like 4 days that I had lived in this house at this point.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, and they're all great people, all incredible, but they're just probably thinking like this guy's fucking crazy. Watching the fights and all that, just going insane watching these. But yeah, man, I was so happy to see that result for you, and just because I know how hard you work. I mean, I know the story behind how you got the nickname Scary. Like, I don't know how
Yeah.
many people out there to the masses know that story. We've shared it on this show, obviously, but that's just something that from having the personal attachment that I can't help but love watching.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, it makes a difference when you kind of know somebody.
definitely.
Actually, get